It was an ordinary evening outside a bustling nightclub when things took a shocking turn. A doorman, standing tall and calm, was simply doing his job when an irate man approached him, hurling insults. The tension escalated quickly, and in a moment of fury, the man did the unthinkable. He spat in the doorman's face. What happened next left everyone stunned. Instead of reacting with anger, the doorman's calm demeanor barely wavered. But as the crowd gathered and whispers spread, the man who thought he was superior suddenly found himself in for a life-changing revelation. This is the story of a split-second action, its powerful consequences, and a moment of truth that no one saw coming. Stay tuned to find out who the doorman really is and how this unexpected twist changed the course of the night. The doorman wiped his face, maintaining an unsettling calm that seemed to unnerve the growing crowd. The man, emboldened by his outburst, crossed his arms with a smug expression, as if he had proven some point. A few onlookers whispered, unsure if they should intervene, while others pulled out their phones, recording what felt like a moment that would soon spiral out of control. But there was something about the doorman, his composure, his unwavering stance, that hinted at a deeper story. Who was he, really? And why hadn't he reacted the way most people would in such a humiliating situation? The man continued his rant, tossing around more insults, but it was clear he didn't know what he was up against. As the seconds ticked by, the doorman finally broke his silence. He looked directly at the man and said a single sentence that stopped everyone in their tracks. The crowd leaned in, holding their breath, as the doorman's calm voice broke through the tension. "Do you even know who I am?" he asked, his tone steady but with an edge that hinted at something deeper. The man froze for a moment, his confidence flickering, but he quickly masked it with a dismissive laugh. "I don't care who you are," he sneered. "You're just a doorman." But there was a ripple of unease in the air now. A few people in the crowd exchanged glances, as if they recognized something the angry man didn't. The doorman remained unshaken, his presence commanding a strange respect. His silence after the question only made the man more agitated, his taunts growing louder, but they seemed to bounce off an invisible wall. What could he mean? Why hadn't he retaliated? The tension grew as everyone waited for the next move, curiosity hanging thick in the air. The man's anger seemed to intensify with every second of silence from the doorman. He stepped closer, gesturing wildly, his words filled with arrogance and frustration. "What, you think you're better than me? You're just standing there, pretending you're someone important." His voice echoed through the night, but the doorman's steady gaze remained fixed on him, unmoving and unshaken. The tension in the crowd was palpable now. People whispered among themselves, their phones still recording every second. Some even started to speculate, who was this man standing so calmly in the face of such hostility? His demeanor suggested he was used to handling far bigger situations, and yet here he was, simply a doorman, or so it seemed. Finally, the doorman took a slow step forward, his eyes locked on the man. He spoke again, his voice low but firm. "You've made a mistake tonight," he said, his words carrying a weight that silenced the entire crowd. The man's smug expression faltered for the first time, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Something was about to happen, and everyone could feel it. The air was thick with suspense, and no one dared to look away. The crowd's silence grew heavier as the doorman's words hung in the air. The man shifted uncomfortably, his bravado was starting to crack under the weight of the moment. "What's that supposed to mean?" he snapped, though his voice wavered just enough to betray his growing unease. The doorman didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached into his pocket, pulling out something small and discreet. The man tensed, his confidence visibly draining, but the doorman simply unfolded a sleek badge, holding it up for everyone to see. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some people stepped back, while others leaned closer, trying to get a better look. "You're not just a doorman," someone muttered, their voice trailing off. The man's face turned pale, his eyes darting nervously between the badge and the doorman's calm expression. The doorman finally spoke, his voice steady and commanding. "I'm more than you think, and what you've done tonight won't go unnoticed." His words carried an authority that sent chills through the crowd. The man stumbled over his words, his arrogance now replaced with panic. He had crossed a line he never even knew existed, and it was clear he was no longer in control of the situation. The man stared at the badge, his mouth opening and closing as if searching for something to say. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. This wasn't just any doorman. "You're law enforcement," he stammered, his voice trembling. The doorman gave a slight nod, his calm demeanor now carrying an undeniable sense of authority. "I'm off duty," the doorman said, his tone measured. "But that doesn't mean I ignore this kind of behavior. Spitting on someone, assaulting them with your words and actions, that's unacceptable, no matter who you think you are." The man tried to backpedal, his arrogance crumbling. "I didn't mean it like that," he mumbled. "It was a misunderstanding." But the doorman didn't let him off that easily. "You've shown everyone here who you really are," he said firmly. Just as the man seemed to shrink under the weight of his own actions, the doorman turned to the crowd. "And let this be a reminder, dignity and respect matter, no matter your role, no matter who you think you're talking to." Then, just as the tension began to ease, the twist came. A voice from the crowd called out, "Wait, I know him." All eyes turned to a man stepping forward, pointing at the doorman. "He's not just law enforcement, he's the owner of this place." The crowd erupted in shocked whispers as the doorman smiled faintly. The man's face turned beet red, his earlier superiority now fully replaced with humiliation. Without another word, he turned and fled, disappearing into the night. The doorman, unfazed, returned to his post, his quiet strength leaving a lasting impression on everyone who witnessed the night's events. As the man disappeared into the night, the crowd slowly dispersed, still buzzing about what they had just witnessed. Many couldn't believe that the calm and composed doorman wasn't just enforcing rules, but was also the owner of the very place they stood outside. It was a lesson no one there would soon forget, a reminder that respect should never be based on assumptions about someone's role or appearance. The doorman returned to his position, offering a polite nod to those still lingering. One by one, people approached him, some offering apologies for standing by, others expressing their admiration for his restraint and dignity. He accepted their words graciously, though he seemed uninterested in the attention. For him, the night wasn't about proving a point. It was about standing for what was right. As the street quieted down, the doorman glanced up at the stars, a small smile on his face, ready for whatever came next.